I'm joined today by Ian, who we met quite recently, and was delighted to have him come on board as a brand ambassador. And what he's gone and done is something quite remarkable. He's actually qualified for the World Championships in Hyrox in two categories, the singles or solo and the doubles. And I thought it would just be great to hear from him a bit about his fitness journey before Hyrox, and then we'll talk a bit more.
Okay, so my name's Ian. I'm 56 now, so been training probably since I was 20. Started in martial arts for around 8 years. Moved on to marathons and triathlons and duathlons. I've also done rowing championships in the British Championships. I've got gold and silvers in British Indoor Rowing Championships. I've got golds and silvers in European and World Duathlon, and now I've kind of moved on to try something else, which was Hyrox, and I've done 4 Hyroxes, come first in 3 and second in one of them, which was the European Championships, and I came second to the world record holder.
I mean, what's impressive, although you've just listed some amazing achievements in your fitness career, it isn't your career. Just for people listening, full time, as you said to me earlier, you spend most of your time in bathrooms as a plumber,
Yes,
dealing with other people's shit, and you have to work around your day job to get your fitness in. So I think what's really interesting is, for people listening, not everybody can be a world champion and compete, but what would you say are the 3 things that have allowed you as a dad, as a busy professional, and also to manage that and still be able to find the time to keep fit, and not only just keep fit, but actually excel in different disciplines?
I think you've got to have a certain amount of natural ability to start with, and then you've got to, again, be able to put enough training in that you can not just rely on that natural ability, that you've got to then add to that to try to get to those levels. And I'm so determined. I so love to race. I love to train. I love to push myself to the limits. It gets more difficult these days. I've really found as I've crossed into the 50s that now my recoveries are a lot more difficult, and that's hard when you're doing long, hard physical weeks, and then you have to spend physical time in the evenings and the weekends training. So yeah, I get pretty tired from it all, but I'm still the passion. Well, I just can't lose that. I just love to compete against other people.
So do you think it's the consistency and the competition that has allowed you to continue whilst juggling these other things?
Yeah, as soon as one's over, I'm lining them all up already through this year, other Hyrox competitions, and but just as soon as I finish one, right, that's my focus, on to the next one, and I don't really give myself much downtime in my focus of my competitions that I want to do.
All right, so without giving away any secrets to other Hyrox competitors that you might be meeting at the World Championships, what does a typical training week look like for you, Ian?
When I started Hyrox, I was already doing a lot of cycling for the duathlons and stuff that I was doing, because I came from duathlon straight into Hyrox, which was only the end of last year. So I really wanted to keep my cycling. So I have a cycling club that I go to Tuesday evenings, and I really kept that side of it, because I think that helped me get there. So I don't want to drop that side. And you've got to add so many different elements to your training to be a good all-rounder. So I then also I'm in the gym, I would think 3 to 4 times a week. Generally working around the Hyrox stations and things that we have to do, and very much working on intervals. And I've done that a lot in my training through my life. Running, rowing, weights, core stability, backwards, forwards, repetitive, not giving myself, quick changeovers. So I've trained a lot like that in my life still do it now, and it's really taken me into Hyrox really well, I find.
And what exercises are your kind of go-tos, both for, I guess, your health, well-being, but also for your performance as well, that you didn't do before that you're now doing, say, regularly?
Well, for Hyrox in particular, which I didn't do before, I mean, I wasn't lifting any heavy weights at all. I was cycling and running and keeping myself light. So as soon as I switched into Hyrox, training completely changed in that respect. So I've now it's you know, all the weights, the sled pushing, the sled pulling, the 32 kilo kettlebells, 30 kilo sandbag lunges and things like that. But working around those, I do things like on stability balls, put the sandbags on my back, use stability balls for core stability, and just sort of mix them in with different things. So I'm still getting the weights, which I wasn't doing before, but I'm still keeping agile and good stability and so on in what I'm doing.
Have you seen your physical shape change a lot as a result of the change in the training?
Yes, I say I was keeping myself down. As soon as I just let myself be and was doing the weights, I jumped up sort of 4 kilos quite quickly, just by not holding myself down to be light for running and cycling. And yeah, so obviously my nutrition, everything has changed a lot, which to be honest, I was winging it a bit before in duathlon and so on, and being a bit lazy with my food. But since meeting yourself and really thinking, okay, I've got to, like, my nutrition is just important, especially with my recovery and my accident that I had and so on. That yes, my food intake in proteins and the carbs and the sorry, my supplements and so on. Yeah, I'm really focused on that now, and make that a real every day, making sure I get everything that I need.
So, I mean, you mentioned supplements there. What have been the ones that you've started using that you perhaps hadn't used before, and have you found them beneficial?
To be honest, I wasn't really using anything. You know, I know it sounds mad, and I've done and that rowing at a high level and the duathlon at European and world level, and I really was just having whatever I liked. So I'd like to think I'll do better now, because I sort of you know, especially looking after myself, and so yeah, I'm using the glutamine, and so I've got my joint recovery and power beat and the protein powders and so on, which I'm now sort of on a regular basis every day, taking those, just trying to give myself every little edge, because you do these competitions, you can win and lose in seconds. And if that's what it takes, just to sort of just being really strict with myself and just gaining that few percentage edge, you know, and yeah, you win or you lose.
I've always said that, you know, the difference between, you know, getting a podium and not getting a podium, particularly at an elite level and a level where you're in competition with people, it's sometimes millisecond.
Yeah.
And people sometimes skimp on their nutrition, whether it be food that they're eating or their supplements, and they don't realize that those tiny little advantages add up over time, and that could be the difference between a podium and maybe, you know, being back of the pack.
Well, all I can think of is that, you know, I had my skiing accident a little earlier in the year, and I was just very regimental on with all the supplements, all my just sort of recovery sort of exercises and things I was doing, and that I was given 8 to 12 weeks recovery to be training properly again, and I competed within 7 weeks, and I won. So you know,
thanks for biosynergy.
So all I can say is, you know, it helped me.
So talking about the recovery, obviously you've got the World Championships coming up. I didn't appreciate that you're doing them back to back, the two events.
Yes.
How are you preparing differently, if at all, to that? And how soon are you going to get out to Chicago in terms of to acclimatise yourself from any kind of jet lag?
Well, I sort of, with my training now, what I've been doing is, because my Hyrox solo and Hyrox doubles runs on Saturday and Sunday in 2 weeks. So what I've been doing as I come into the weekends, yes, I have a hard working week and so on, but I sort of coming into the weekends now, and I'm Hyrox training Saturday and Sunday just to get that routine of both days, just putting my body through some hard workouts, so it doesn't feel too dissimilar when I get to that point. I mean, we're traveling, so it'll be Wednesday week. We'll be traveling out, so I haven't got a great deal of time. We travel on the Wednesday. We've got sort of parades of nations and so on the Thursdays, and be watching the some of the pro races, and I'll be competing on. Hopefully, I've done all the training that I would have needed to do before I fly, and then I'll be competing Saturday and Sunday.
Great. Obviously, you've got to keep us posted. And then just finally, obviously, tips for anybody looking to get into a Hyrox or a similar competition. What would you say your top tips are in order to kind of embark on it? So somebody perhaps hasn't got the same kind of fitness and competitive nature that you've got, but they're looking for something to give them a goal, as it were.
Yeah, it's just taking those elements of that competition, just starting in as a. Don't think, oh, I've just got to whack all the weights on, and I've got to just start low, just build into it, get your body accustomed to it. It's so easy to get pulls and strains and so on by too much too soon. And one thing I find in Hyrox competition is you've got to have an excellent self-discipline to hold down those early parts of the race. I go into it, I've got the first run, and then you have the ski erg, and I'm always one of the slower people at the ski erg. And then by the time I go through the competition, I'm getting quicker and quicker and catching them up and overtaking them, because people just burn out too early. Regulating your speed is so important, to have the discipline to not let that adrenaline, because what happens, the adrenaline kicks in on the start line, everyone takes off, and you feel it's amazing the energy that you have in the first couple of stations, and then down they go. So self-management and discipline on those races is key.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, listen, Ian, I think all we can do is obviously wish you, make it happen at the weekend. And it's really been great for you to share your experiences and your ideas. And thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Biosynergy.
Stop recording.